14.3 Fairness. You will find this in Chapter 4 of the Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. And just a reminder that although this is examinable, it doesn't appear in the PMBOK guide. It's available as a free download from the PMI website, pmi.org. And in fact, if you are a member of PMI, which you should be, you can download a heap of stuff free of charge from PMI. Description of fairness. Fairness is our duty to make decisions and act impartially and objectively. Our conduct must be free from competing self-interest, prejudice and favouritism. Fairness, aspirational standards. As practitioners of the global project management community, 1. We demonstrate transparency in our decision-making process. 2. We constantly re-examine our impartiality and objectivity, taking corrective action as appropriate. And you don't have to raise a change request to make changes to your behaviour. Comment. Research with practitioners indicates that the subject of conflicts of interest is one of the most challenging faced by our profession. One of the biggest problems practitioners report is not recognising that we have conflicted loyalties and recognising when we are inadvertently placing ourselves or others in a conflict of interest situation. We as practitioners must proactively search for potential conflicts and help each other by highlighting each other's potential conflicts of interest and insisting that they be resolved. Now, did you notice it said help each other by highlighting each other's potential conflicts of interest? It's because sometimes we really don't actually realise that we're getting into a conflict of interest situation. But other people can see it and they can advise us and we can watch out for them and advise them. And of course, the other times when we sort of know we're getting into a bad area and for some reason we're just going with the flow. But as they say, it's only dead fish who go with the flow. But sometimes you just need a friend to give you a kick in the seat of the pants and wake you up and say, what you're doing is actually wrong. Okay, number 3, we provide equal access to information to those who are authorised to have that information. I used to have a manager and each time he went on annual leave, he used to lock up the manuals which were under his control so that nobody could do as good a job as he could while he was away. Number 4, we make opportunities equally available to qualified candidates. Comment. An implication of these provisions is that in the case of a contracting arrangement, we provide equal access to information during the bidding process. So we have a friend or a relative who works for one of the competing contractors. We don't give them information that the others don't have. We don't give them any advantages. We have to make it a level playing field for everyone. Imagine if you're a contractor, you're in the process, you're trying to get some work and you discover that it went to a company that was related in some way to the person who made the decision. How would you feel? So capture those feelings and think, I can cause the same sort of problems with others. Fairness, mandatory standards. As practitioners in the global project management community, we require the following of ourselves and our fellow practitioners. Conflicts of interest situations. Number 1, we proactively and fully disclose any real or potential conflicts of interest to the appropriate stakeholders. Now, my personal advice is if you're not sure if you're in some sort of conflict of interest situation, tell people anyway. Let the people decide. It then becomes their decision. You have done the right thing. You have abide by the code. Now, without going into details, I have been in a couple of situations before where I felt this is a conflict of interest. I've gone to the management, told them, they've gone through the details, come back and say, we don't see a conflict of interest, please continue. Or there's a conflict of interest system, but all you have to do is don't be on this particular committee. So it becomes their decision. So never hold anything back because it will come back to bite you when you're least expecting it. Number 2, when we realise that we have a real or potential conflict of interest, we refrain from engaging in the decision-making process or otherwise attempting to influence outcomes unless or until we have made full disclosure to the affected stakeholders, which is what I said before. We have an approved mitigation plan, which means don't attend certain meetings or withdraw from the project completely, whatever it takes, and we have obtained the consent of the stakeholders to proceed. Comment. A conflict of interest occurs when we are in a position to influence decisions or other outcomes on behalf of one party, when such decisions or outcomes would affect one or more of the other parties with which we have competing loyalties. For example, when we are acting as an employee, we have a duty of loyalty to our employer. When we are acting as a PMI volunteer, we have a duty of loyalty to the Project Management Institute. You must recognise these divergent interests and refrain from influencing decisions when we have a conflict of interest. Further, even if we believe that we can set aside our divided loyalties, make decisions impartially, we treat the appearance of a conflict of interest as a conflict of interest and follow the provisions described in the code. So even if there's no certainty it is a conflict of interest, treat it as a conflict of interest until you hear categorically one way or the other. Favoritism and discrimination. 3. We do not hire or fire, reward or punish, or award or deny contracts based on personal considerations, including but not limited to favoritism, nepotism or bribery. 4. We do not discriminate against others based on gender, race, age, religion, disability, nationality, sexual orientation, or basically anything else. In fact, all of these things, if you do them, they are actually illegal. But whenever the PMBOK was first drawn up and they were working on their Code of Ethics, the first Code of Ethics was just like a little half a page thing, and it gradually evolved. But back in the early days, some of this stuff wasn't actually illegal. For example, age discrimination is a fairly recent one to be recognised. Number 5, we apply the rules of the organisation, the employer, Project Management Institute or other group without favour or prejudice. In other words, you don't go cherry picking and I'll use this particular rule, I'll ignore this one, etc. to give yourself some sort of a benefit. That brings us to the end of fairness. And the next lesson is 14.4, honesty. Please read the corresponding section of the Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct before watching the video.